Hello there. What is going on, everybody? I've got a bunch more information to kind of round up regarding the new Echo-based Defenders, Battle Force information in general, and a bunch of AMG information that has been released via their live streams and interviews. Legion Outriders had an interview. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. I'll put links down in the description below, and we're gonna kind of wrap everything up and talk about some of the most important bullet points in this video. But I'm not going to cover everything because you should definitely go watch the interviews as well. Outriders gave a great interview. You should go check it out. I'm going to put a link in the, but watch this video first and then go check out the interview, or vice versa. If you guys are new here, we are still giving away a lightsaber. It's running all month long. All you have to do is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this or one of my videos. Also, hop in our Discord. We have a painting competition going until Valentine's Day. It's called a Paint the Town Red. I want to see your paint jobs, especially ones featuring the color red. It doesn't have to be pure red. It could be like red with some blues, some purples, or some pinks and things like that. But anything that has the color red in there, I want to see those paint jobs. Plus, you can look at all the other paint jobs over in the Discord. So check the links in the description below. Also, big thanks to today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. Amazing full metal tokens. I helped work on these for Star Wars Legion. So these are double-sided. They're amazing. I've been using them in games. They're fantastic. We also have order tokens. We now have the combat tokens. They are all up on the website now. You're going to save 15% if you use code Crabbok VIP. Orders of $35 or more are going to get a free lightsaber nunchuck token thrown in. So check out luxuryplaystyle.com. Use that code Crabbok VIP. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Echo base Defenders. There is a good amount of stuff that we're going to talk about here. And this is, again, this is partially from stuff that we've seen in the interview with Legion Outriders, and also part of it's stuff that was from AMG's most recent stream. Again, they've been doing more. They've been pretty active on dropping information. I think we're probably about a month or two away from getting, you know, like a full reveal, full spoiler, full release of a lot of this Battle Force information. So we're going to talk about Echo base Defenders. They are the Rebel Battle Force, the first Rebel Battle Force. We certainly have no intention of believing that this will be the only Rebel Battle Force. I think that we'll see lots more Battle Forces as the time of Legion goes forward. But this is trying to be thematic. They definitely want to be thematic by restricting what you can do. Battle Forces are going to have their own force organizational chart. They're going to influence like what you can bring. Like you may have different minimums and different maximums, things like that. And also different command cards that work only when you're using this particular battle force. Certain units will be allowed, certain units will not be allowed. And the cool thing is that these can change over time. So, for example, like, you know, there's been a lot of speculation that with the Echo-based Defenders that you will be able to bring somebody like General Riken or whatever. But he's not in the game, but he would make sense. So it's just like how they do in Marvel Crisis Protocol, how they have like affiliations, and those get updated over time. Who you can bring in certain battle forces will probably get updated over time as well. Now, as a battle force, they're going to function very defensively, as opposed to the Blizzard Force, which is going to be more offensive, kind of attacking. And an important distinction with these battle forces is they will be fully tournament legal. So you won't be just playing these against each other. You won't be restricted to only playing these for kitchen table games or scenario play. These are full-fledged ways to play Legion in every format, unless, of course, it's some kind of special setting that prohibits battle forces. But really, this is going to be something you can bring into tournaments. So you have to be prepared to be able to use these or to go against these. So that's pretty interesting. Now, the Blizzard Force, the Echo-based Defenders, one of the things that we've learned about them is that they're going to obviously have some things that battle forces have with the force organization chart being adjusted. Now, what that means in this case is that they've told us so far is that you're going to be able to take pretty much all the heroes that you see in the movies. So that means you're going to be able to run Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, R2, 3PO. Of course, R2 and 3PO are kind of one unit anyway. But that means that you'll have to have like potentially 3 commanders at least. So it might be like 3 commanders, 2 operatives might be on there, or maybe even be more than that. They didn't give us exact numbers, but they said that you'd be able to run all of the the main heroes from the film, from the battle. Now, that would probably mean no Lando Calrissian, for example. The real question I have is, what about Dash Rendar, huh? Can we run Dash Rendar? They need to put Dash Rendar out, because he was there. He was flying a snowspeeder. You guys who played Shadows of the Empire know what I'm talking about. So if Dash Rendar ever shows up, I better be able to get him on Echo Base. but so that's a really interesting thing, and it's something I think a lot of us have wanted to do. I've been definitely wanting to get like all the heroes on the board for a long time. That's definitely something that they're going to be able to do. Plus, there's a new hero like scenario they're going to be doing where one person is like waves of forces, another person is like all heroes and stuff like that. But that's like they talk about an Alamo setting as well as the Dianaga setting. Those are like OP kits, and those are just scenarios. Those aren't tournament play. But those are also coming too. Now, in addition to being able to take more heroes in this one, we also learned that you can't just take any versions of these heroes. So, for example, while you can take Commander Luke Skywalker, you cannot take Jedi Luke Skywalker, Operative Luke. So, because he wasn't a Jedi yet at this point. So I think that's an important distinction, and that might, I think a lot of people really always gravitate towards Operative Luke Skywalker because he's so awesome. And this is a great way to put a little more flex on Commander Luke and say, well, okay, well, now you're restricted. You can only take Commander Luke, and while he might not seem as desirable as Operative Luke, if you're using him in Blizzard, I keep saying Blizzard Force. If you're using him in Echo-based Defenders, because they're a kind of a Blizzard in a Blizzard also. But if you're using him with Echo-based Defenders, now all of a sudden, he might have a new life. He may be stronger because of there's going to be new command cards, and so that's a pretty cool thing. Now, speaking of new command cards, there will be 3 new command cards for every of these battle forces, and the one that is going to come in this particular battle force is one of them is going to give standby tokens to all emplacement troopers, and that is very, very interesting, considering all those FD turrets that are out there. Free standbys could be really cool. I think they have Sentinel built on them already. Mark IIs are also standby troopers, so your Rebel veterans have standby troopers as well. So you can have, like in a normal list, you can have up to 6, if you have 3 FDs and then 3 Rebel veterans, each bringing a Mark II into the force as well. So now it's unclear exactly what the new Force org chart is going to be. You might be able to get even more than that or potentially less than that, but that could be pretty powerful. Putting out a lot of standbys, especially on people that have Sentinel, that could be very, very strong indeed. So that's, and again, that does kind of feed into the defensive nature of this battle force. These will all be PDFs, so you won't have to buy anything when these first come out. At least like the first 4 battle forces. Now, of course, for Shadow Collective, which is also a battle force, of course, you'll have to buy that. But between the first 4 for the initial factions that they've talked about, Echo-based Defenders, Blizzard Force, the 501st, and the Droid Invasion, what they've basically said is that they're intending to use existing stuff, so you won't necessarily have to buy anything new. As a matter of fact, there won't even be anything for sale for these right away. It'll just be a PDF that you can download, and then the command cards will be print and play. This is an interesting one, though, because if some people are like, oh, print and play, I'm not super crazy about print and play. Personally, I'm not super crazy about print and play because I don't like to sleeve my command cards. And I know what you're thinking. Well, how dare you not sleeve your command cards? I'm like, well, I don't really shuffle them. For cards that don't need to be shuffled, I usually don't sleeve. And because I put them back into the pages when I'm done. That's kind of how I do it. But everybody does their stuff differently. I might have to sleeve them if I'm running them in a tournament. But I also would definitely, now they haven't said this, but this is how they do things, right? Especially with the skirmish command cards were the same way. But look, those skirmish cards have come out in 2 different OP kits already now. So I'm sure that these cards will come available in hard print in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's going to be OP kits, whether it's going to be another pack, like they might do, there's always been that talk of wanting to redo some of the old units that came out in soft plastic and do them into the hard plastic on sprues. And so this could be a great way to eventually down the road come up with a new box set, maybe a catch-up starter or like a single faction starter or something like that has, hey, you fallen behind with Legion, buy this little catch-up box. It's got like 2 snow troopers, 2 stormtroopers in hard plastic, and a new Darth Vader in hard plastic, or something like that. And it also comes with the hard copy, like that could be something that ends up happening, but they haven't said that. But it wouldn't surprise me if they make these available. My point is, OP kits and other options are going to come out. There's supposed to be another card pack that's in the works, although it's maybe farther down the line. So maybe they'll all come in that card pack as well. But the point is, for right now, you won't have to spend any money. And I think that's a big deal for a lot of folks. We also learned a little bit more information about some of the previous stuff that we talked about. And I won't rehash too much of the previous stuff. I have another video talking more about Blizzard Force and some of the early things that we learned. But we did learn about the new Stormtrooper rank that they talked about already. This new Stormtrooper is now, one more detail is that it will be able to take 2 heavies, which is significant. Also, the bounty hunters. So, as you know, Boba Fett and Cad Bane and also Bosk are the 3 bounty hunters in the game right now. They're all being reworked as Mercs. Now, Mercs are the units that can't go into anywhere except for basically the neutral cards that can potentially go into battle forces. Like the Shadow Collective is a battle force that consists of only Mercs, but that doesn't mean that all Mercs can go into it. They're not a faction of their own. So they're basically, wild cards, right? And in the case of the Shadow Collective, you can run all wild cards, but they have restrictions on where they can go. So you'll probably still be able to run the updated Boba Fett with the Empire, but there'll be some new things, right? And what I mean by the new things is, like, for example, Mercs have the independent rule, so they won't be able to be issued an order by their commander, unless it's a commander who happens to be, affiliated with them. So if you were to bring in like a Merc commander in addition to that, then that could potentially happen. Like if they ever do Jabba the Hutt as like a Merc commander that can work with Darth Vader, he might be able to order Boba, but Vader might not be able to order Boba, or something like that. They said that, well, they did say that they will usually have the independent rule. It is possible that Boba might not, because we did say him kind of take orders from Vader. It's one of those things. It's a possibility, but that's the general idea that they're going with. Is they're going to try to rework these Mercs into the bounty hunters into Mercs. They'll have the independent rule, and they may be able to go in multiple different factions, but maybe not every faction. And it's certainly going to depend. We know that the new version of Boba is certainly going to be a little different than the existing version of Boba. So maybe that'll be like one of the differences. Like one old Boba was more affiliated with the Empire. Maybe new Boba can potentially work with the rebels. It's a possibility. So I thought that was interesting. Now, speaking more about the Mercs, that they are going to be able to go into their own thing. But for some of the Mercs that can go into existing factions, we know that they've basically said the Mandalorians won't be able to go into any existing factions. They're like basically, at least for right now, they're like Shadow Collective only. I would expect that if they eventually come out with a Mandalorian battle force, these guys can go into that, but that's not announced yet. So, although we can probably imagine there'll be a Mandalorian, sub battle force at some point. There would have to be, right? And how would they do that? That's a topic for another video, because that's a cool topic. But we got a little bit more about the Pikes and the Black Sun. They did kind of suggest that Pikes could end up being able to go everywhere, because they've been seen working with just about everybody, and it's sort of, and that makes sense. If you got the money, then they might do some work for you. But Black Sun is only really seen working with the Empire and the Separatists, so Black Sun might only work with those 2 factions. So that was kind of hinted at. That's not exactly 100% confirmed, but that was the implication that was given. And then we're some more talk about some other things. The Ewoks. There was some talk about Ewoks again. They're going to be a battle force. They talked more about them not seeing them like kind of like leave planet to go join other armies and stuff. There are a few isolated cases where they do that, but they also talked about battle cards. Will Pagani's a big fan of battle cards, and kind of hinted that more battle cards are very likely, but not necessarily ready to be formally announced at this point. But he would definitely like to do more battle cards. And again, if you're newer to Legion, battle cards are the condition deployment and objective cards that you kind of start out with the game. So you might end up seeing new types of deployments. the deployments, I think we've kind of got most of those covered, but well, here, wouldn't it be cool? They didn't say this, but I have to speculate. What if a certain battle forces got special deployment cards, right? Like maybe you wanted to surround your opponent. Maybe you were, you were a very aggressive battle force and you surrounded your opponent, and then you got a new battle card that only your battle force could take. What if Ewoks, because they jumped up all over the place, what if they had a special battle force specific deployment card that let them deploy in like little pockets all over the map? Like wouldn't that be interesting? It's just, or your opponent had to deploy in the middle, and then you got to deploy in a whole ring around them. Like and stuff like that. Like that could be pretty wild, and that could be one big advantage to taking somebody that might be underpowered. So that's just something. They didn't say that that's coming, but they did hint about more battle cards. Also, there's another mini extravaganza planned, although it's not officially announced yet. My guess is it'll probably be April. New website should be up in April. Also, they said late March or early April. So the new website, now I know that's a big deal. A lot of people have really been looking forward to the new website that would hopefully have all of the information consolidated and in one place. And so I think that would be a good thing. The last little bit is, when talking about Ewoks, there was a couple of mentions of Gungans. I think Gungans are definitely something that is at least on the drawing board. They haven't confirmed Gungans. They just talked about Gungans as in like that would kind of fit, that seems cool. And they were kind of mentioned and talked about enough times that it sounds to me like it's something that they at least want to do. Also, Night Sisters was mentioned, and I think that's a cool one too. I would like for Night Sisters to be able to go into the Separatists faction, but I could see them, at least, like, they should definitely be able to run as a battle force, but you should be able to take some Night Sisters and run them with the Separatists, at least as Mercs, and then maybe bring Mother Talzin to have her work with Dooku in a Separatist army, maybe, but I would love to be able to run Night Sisters, Mother Talzin, Asajj Ventress, Night Brothers, archers, all of that stuff. Like, that'd be a really cool battle force. And, but Gungans are my number one battle force that I really want to see. Ewoks are cool, and Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie, but I want to see a Gungan battle force. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the news dump for today. Again, as more comes out, the next big dump we're supposed to be getting is about the droid invasion. I think they said Dallas Kemp will be talking about that in the next stream. So, if you're watching this much later after I publish it, it may already be out there. Again, they've been dropping information pretty fast, but they're dropping it all over the place in different spots, so it's hard to round everything up. But that's fun, because there's a lot of really cool things planned coming for Legion, and I can't wait to see it and talk about it with you guys and get it on the tabletop. That is going to do it for today, guys. I want to thank you all so much. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing and help make this all possible, so thank you for your continued support. Always remember to keep the Force closely by your side.